right, guys. In this segment, Dennis and I give our thoughts on hustle culture and how it's portrayed in social media. As always, if you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, and subscribe to help grow the channel. I think it's defined as what people would call hustle culture, right? So the grind, I guess, is what the kids would call it.
The crime.
So I'm curious to know, especially since we're in an era of medicine where we're kind of working, like, volumes are going up, pay's
Mm,
going down, staffing's going, everything's going, they're going opposite directions when they don't need to be. So we have to hustle essentially to work.
yeah.
But my thoughts, or my question is, what are your thoughts on the hustle culture, I guess, in general?
Yeah. I, I think, I think as an aside, I think if you want to be like uber successful, I think your work life balance is going to be probably terrible.
It doesn't exist. Yeah.
There's no balance. Like
Yeah.
Elon Musk and these guys that are just like, running the world. Like I feel like their
Yeah.
work life balance probably doesn't exist because
But to them, it's not work life. It's just, that's life,
it's their,
right? They don't consider it work,
yeah, it's
so
just,
they
yeah,
enjoy it. That's why they can do
right.
it.
But I feel like a lot of these people's, their families probably, and I'm assuming, your family, something has to suffer because if you're working
Yeah.
all the time,
Yeah.
then we all have the same 24 hours in the day. Like nobody has extra hours. And so how you spend those hours is
Yeah.
whatever it is. So, I mean, maybe you're not spending much time as you're with your kids. I think in terms of hustle culture, I think, if you have a job and you want to have something on the side that brings you some sort of income, whatever that is, that's great if you can do that and still spend time with your family. Or
Hmm.
I think it just goes down to whatever's most important to you. If you're chasing money, if you need money, then there's a lot of other avenues for you to go into,
Yeah.
aside from, simply like, stuff that we're doing this podcast. We're not, I don't know what we'd call this hustling, but I mean, I think we enjoy this. That's why we
Hmm.
started it. But if it ends up turning into some sort of a revenue stream, like that would be
Hmm.
great. But us doing this takes time away from, Gage getting to watch his dogs that he loves so
That
much,
you've heard barking
that I
a
heard
million
barking,
times. Yeah.
and me, whatever else that I love, it would take away from that. But I'm choosing to do this because I enjoy this, and this is just something else aside from work. And so I
Yeah.
think I think that hustle culture can turn from, and maybe that's what created people leaving, this industry or different industries, is they started doing this hustle thing, and they're like, wow, I really enjoy this. I'm able to make the same amount of money. I can go talk about the Smurfs 7 days a week, or I
Hmm.
can go work as a nurse in the hospital, or whatever. I'm giving
Hmm.
it a crazy analogy,
Yeah.
but I think, hustling is a great thing. But I think spending time with your family, and spending your time how you want to spend your time, if you're able to do that, if you have to support your family and you're like, I have to do this, then
Yeah.
that
That's a different
then that's
story.
that's a
Yeah.
different story. But if you're hustling just because that's, what you want to do or what you enjoy or whatever, then
Yeah.
yeah, because I think a lot of people put too much into the hustle culture too. I think they're like,
Hmm.
you have to have a side. Like, what do you like?
Yeah.
You're working your full time job. What are you doing on the side? Like, you're like,
Yeah.
well, spending time
Yeah.
with my family, like coaching
Fucking
sports.
loser.
Le who? The her.
Like, you're like, this. What do you do? You're a loser, man. And
Yeah.
that's not. It's like that's not a loser at
That's
all. Like,
that's my one of my issues with how hustle culture is portrayed, at least on social media. It's toxic as fuck. They make it seem like you can't do, if you're not working 18, 19 hours a day, then you're a loser. Like, you spend those 5 hours sleeping, make
mhm,
sure you hit the gym, you eat right, all this, which that's just general advice. But they make it seem like if you're not doing that,
mhm.
you're never going to amount to anything.
Yeah, you're a pro.
So that's part of my issue with at least how it's portrayed in social media. Me
Mhm,
personally, this is an interesting take. I think it's probably different than yours.
mhm,
I don't believe in work life balance for myself personally.
mhm,
I am like going all the time. I was off this week
mhm.
for vacation, but I couldn't do anything, and I don't know what to do with myself.
I'm not sure what to do with my hands.
Be good just to hold him down by your
Okay.
side. Yeah.
No, it's Post Malone. He said he worked so hard he forgot how to vacation. Like,
Mm.
I've been doing this for 14 years, like just all the time going. I don't know how to. So
Oh,
for me personally, I don't believe in work life balance. That's why I can do this. I'll
mm,
put this and work before anything else. I don't have a family or anything like that, so
mhm.
I'm not like sacrificing anything. But
Yeah.
I think my overall point is that it's individual, right?
Right.
If you focus and you can um, really focus for 8, 9 hours a day, and that's all you can do. That's all you can do. Like,
Mm.
I saw another thing. I forget who was telling it, but it was about, oh, it's 50 Cent, I think.
Mhm.
No, it was somebody, but it was pertaining to Eminem.
Mhm.
And they were shocked. There's Akon maybe, but they were shocked because Eminem would work at his job. He would go to the studio like a 9 to 5.
Mhm.
And if he was trying to collaborate with another rapper, this particular rapper was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be there at like 2, whatever."
Mhm.
And so they would work for 3 hours, and then he said Eminem would go home, and the other guy's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, this is me. This is how I function. I treat it like a job. This is
Mhm.
when I'm productive. This is how I do." And it worked for him, right? He's uber successful.
Right.
Some people work 22 hours a day, and
Mhm.
that's what works for them. So I
Yeah.
think my overall point is, one, it's the way it's portrayed on social media. Ignore that shit. Those
Yeah.
guys are. We talked about this in the last episode, but those guys are detached, right? They're at the top of where they're at, where they want to be, right?
Mhm.
So everyone's like, "Oh yeah, easy for you to say. You're already there." We didn't get to see them do it on the way, but
Yeah.
they're so far detached from what the average person has to go through. I think their advice is, for the most part, useless.
Yeah.
So just individualize it, I think.
I I think I'm gonna throw my thought in here. I think I follow a lot of what Gary Vaynerchuk says. No, I should
Mhm.
say follow. I listen to a lot of his
Yeah.
content. Um, and I think he's obviously like a very hard worker. He's dabbles in everything. He's
Yeah.
entrepreneur from the get go, and I think he says it best.
I have friends who make $47,000 a year and are the happiest people I know. Their work-life balance is on point. They're part of 2 soccer teams. They play video games. They watch every show they want. They take 2 vacations that they scrap together, and they're freaking happy as hell. And I know tons of people who I grew up with in the Silicon Valley boom who have hundreds of millions of dollars in their bank account and are as miserable and as lonely and as broken as you'll ever see. So
When it terms of like hustle or whatever you're doing, like you have to remember like it's your life, and whatever brings you the most amount of happiness and allows you to take care of your family and be a productive member of society. I think that's like the answer. I think if I have a side hustle of this podcast and this merch selling and all these
Mhm.
sponsors or whatever, like
Yeah.
that's great for me. But like, I have a cousin or a family member or whomever who's coaching his kids' sports teams, running the program, trying to raise money for the cheerleading squad, trying to like do different things, whatever that is. Like, and that's not his side. Like, that's his family's thing. Like that's great too. There's nothing wrong about that, and you shouldn't demonize somebody who's not trying to sell something on the side or
Yeah.
working, 15-hour days, 7 days a week, and like if people who whatever your choice in life is like that's your choice. Obviously, hopefully be a productive member of society,
Yeah. Yeah.
have some sort of work or something that you believe in that you
Yeah.
can but if you don't want to have a side hustle, like
Don't. And
don't
this
do it.
is this is just hustle culture in general. I think we could do a longer segment or a different segment on hustle culture within medicine,
Hmm.
because it's its own thing. Like,
Oh yeah.
especially with doctors, if
Hmm.
you're not working gazillion hours, like, they don't think you're dedicated yet. So I think those
Yeah.
were just our thoughts in general
Right.
on hustle culture. But I think maybe we could do it in the future, an episode or a segment just on hustle culture within medicine, because it's a different kind
Yeah.
of category.
I mean, even with the rads, like you guys, like you work your normal with your partners, but then you can moonlight
Hmm.
VRAD or like all these other
Hmm.
ways you can just create other avenues within medicine.
Yeah.
And in sonography as well. I could do the travel gig, and I could do a PRN somewhere else, and I could
Yep.
hustle, and I could buy an ultrasound machine
Do it
and
yourself. Yeah.
do it myself and do a 3D, 4D baby foot. Like there's so many. If I really wanted to like go all in on this medicine, um, there's always these avenues that you can go within your field that you're already in too.
All right, guys, that'll do it for today's segment. As always, if you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.